This is the Heal Security Deep Dive with your hosts, Mark and Diana. Today is Friday, August 22, 2025. Welcome, everyone. Our mission today is to cut through the noise and offer you a truly illuminating deep dive into the absolute latest in cybersecurity intelligence. We're talking insights drawn directly from recent breaches, newly discovered vulnerabilities, and the ingenious defense strategies trying to keep us all safe. We've sifted through a mountain of reports covering everything from the shadowy state-sponsored actors and their sophisticated malware to global law enforcement ops and some truly cutting-edge defensive tech. Think of this as your shortcut to being incredibly well-informed.
And that's exactly what we aim for. What's truly critical to grasp right now is the sheer relentless dynamism of the cyber threat landscape. It's not just changing, it's shape-shifting at an incredible pace, almost day by day. Understanding these varied threats isn't just for IT departments. It's absolutely crucial for both your organization's resilience and, frankly, your own personal digital safety. Today, we'll peel back the layers on how attackers are constantly adapting their methods with remarkable speed, and equally important, how dedicated defenders are pushing back, often with surprising innovation.
Okay, let's jump straight in then. We've seen a consistent drumbeat of activity from highly organized groups, the kind with significant state backing and, well, deep pockets. What are the most striking trends you've observed recently in terms of nation-state activity? And perhaps more importantly, what unexpected ways are they finding to infiltrate systems?
It's a game of high-stakes chess, definitely. And the moves are getting increasingly subtle. We're still very much focused on advanced persistent threats, APTs, but their tactics are becoming, disturbingly creative. Take APT-36, for example, a group widely linked to Pakistan. They've been observed actively abusing Linux.desktop files to deliver malware.
Desktop files, aren't those usually just harmless shortcuts on, like, a Linux machine?
Exactly.
Yeah.
For many of us, a .desktop file is just that, a harmless shortcut. Points to an app, maybe a document. But APT-36 is disguising these as legitimate files. They often use social engineering to trick targets into clicking them.
So you think you're opening a PDF or maybe a presentation, but really, that innocent icon is actually a Trojan horse. That's incredibly sneaky. How does that even work, technically speaking, to get past typical defenses?
Precisely. It's a masterclass in exploiting trust. The danger lies in its simplicity, really. Many traditional security solutions might not flag a .desktop file as inherently suspicious because, well, it's not a direct executable. It's seen as just a configuration file. But when a user clicks it, it's designed to run a script or command in the background.
Oh.
That then fetches the actual malicious payload, so it bypasses that initial layer of scrutiny. Their primary targets seem to be government and defense organizations in India. And once that malicious file is executed, it downloads sophisticated spyware, other tools, all designed for long-term surveillance, data theft. The significance here is that they're exploiting fundamental user trust in just, everyday desktop shortcuts. Makes it fiendishly difficult for traditional defenses to spot something that looks so benign. It's a low-tech entry for a high-stakes outcome.
Wow, that's a powerful reminder that the most dangerous threats often don't rely on, cutting-edge 0 days, but on exploiting human behavior. And APT-36 isn't the only player in this state-sponsored espionage field, right?
Not at all. We've also been closely tracking Murky Panda, a Chinese-linked hacking group. They've consistently targeted government institutions, and they show remarkable patience and persistence. Their tactics might sound familiar: tailored spear-phishing campaigns, malicious documents delivering payloads, and a relentless hunt for unpatched vulnerabilities. But the why is key. They aim to establish deep, persistent footholds within sensitive networks. It's for long-term cyber-espionage intelligence collection.
A strategic long game, not just a smash and grab.
Exactly, which makes them incredibly difficult to dislodge once they're inside.
So these groups aren't just persistent, they're incredibly resourceful, always looking for a new angle, a new soft spot. And it's not just governments in their crosshairs anymore. Even major tech companies are facing these sophisticated attacks, sometimes through vulnerabilities nobody even knew existed.
That's right. And this brings us to a stark reminder of how quickly the threat landscape can change. We recently saw Apple release urgent security updates for iOS, iPadOS, and macOS. They were patching a 0-day vulnerability. And for those unfamiliar, 0-day means the attackers found and exploited this flaw before Apple even knew about it.
Before there was a patch ready. Wow.
Yeah, exactly. This particular flaw was severe, allowing malicious actors to execute arbitrary code on vulnerable devices.
Arbitrary code, that sounds like a technical term for, well, complete control. What's the real-world nightmare scenario there if an attacker can just run whatever they want on your phone or computer?
It truly is. When attackers can execute arbitrary code, it means they can essentially take over your device. They can install spyware, steal your credentials, access photos, messages, or even turn your device into a jumping-off point for more attacks. Apple specifically stressed the urgency, advising immediate updates because this bug was already being actively exploited in the wild.
Actively exploited. Okay.
It's a stark reminder of Apple's increasing exposure, especially as threat actors shift focus to mobile and macOS platforms, which, were once seen as relatively safer havens. What this really highlights for you, the listener, is how attackers skillfully exploit our trust, whether it's trust in the .desktop file or the perceived security of a major OS, or just belief that our devices are inherently secure. Constant vigilance and immediately installing all updates is your most crucial defense, not just for the obvious devices, but for everything connected.
Fascinating and frankly a bit unsettling. We've talked about the intelligence gathering motives of nation states, but let's pivot now. Let's talk about the raw financial impact of cybercrime, particularly ransomware. This is where it really hits home for businesses and individuals, and we've seen some truly devastating hits recently, especially in the healthcare sector.
Healthcare. Unfortunately, it continues to be a prime target for these financially motivated attackers. The data itself is incredibly sensitive. Think personal health info, financial records, social security numbers, all highly valuable in the black market. But it's also the operational disruption that makes healthcare so vulnerable. When patient care is on the line, organizations often feel immense pressure to pay ransoms quickly.
Right, they can't afford downtime.
Exactly. We saw this with the Defe ransomware attack. That resulted in data exposure for roughly 2.7 million patients. That's a massive amount of potentially sensitive medical and personal detail out there.
2.7 million. And it's not just the big hospital networks or clinics, is it? We're even seeing attacks targeting the devices patients use in their own homes. That kind of blurs the line between organizational and personal risk.
Absolutely. Consider the ransomware-related breach that compromised data from 90,000 users of CPAP devices. These are common medical devices for sleep apnea, often connected to the internet for data sharing.
Oh yeah, I know people who use those.
Right. And this incident exposed medical and personal data, again, raising serious concerns over patient privacy and the security of these connected health devices. It just underscores that as our lives become more digitally integrated, every connected device, well, it becomes a potential entry point for data theft and extortion.
And compounding this issue, we're hearing more and more about AI playing a bigger role, making these ransomware attacks even more efficient, more adaptive, and frankly, more terrifying.
AI is undeniably a force multiplier for these cybercriminals, no question. A recent Acronis report, for instance, highlighted that India currently leads the world in malware attacks, and AI-powered ransomware is playing a major role there.
Why India specifically?
Well, it seems to be a confluence of factors. Rapid digital adoption, sometimes outpacing cybersecurity investment, and just an extensive amount of vulnerable infrastructure. But AI's specific role here is automation and personalization. It can craft highly convincing spear-phishing emails, analyze target networks for weaknesses faster than any human could, and even adapt attack patterns in real time to evade detection. It just makes these ransomware campaigns far more efficient, insidious, and much harder to stop.
So attackers are using incredibly advanced tech, but they also need the underlying infrastructure, right, to orchestrate these attacks, to host their malware, launch phishing, control their operations. How are they managing to hide all this so effectively? Sometimes in plain sight.
This is where their resourcefulness really shines. Cybercriminals are increasingly abusing virtual private servers, VPS environments. Think of a VPS as a rented, sort of anonymous computer in a data center somewhere. They use these to host malware infrastructure, phishing kits, command and control systems, all that stuff. The advantages for them are clear. They can quickly set up, scale, and replace this infrastructure whenever they need to, all while maintaining a significant degree of anonymity. One server gets shut down, they just spin up another one almost instantly.
So it's like a constant shell game.
Pretty much. And the challenge for defenders is that these attackers are often exploiting legitimate hosting services. This makes takedown efforts significantly harder because the VPS providers themselves often don't even know their systems are being misused, at least not right away. So for you listening, this means the digital battleground is just incredibly vast and constantly shifting. The sheer scale of these attacks, especially with AI making them more efficient, means our sensitive data is constantly under threat. And the fact that attackers are so clever about hiding makes the fight against cybercrime a really complex, global game of digital whack-a-mole.
It's easy to get overwhelmed by the sheer scale of the threats. Yeah. But it's crucial to remember it's not all bad news. There's a tremendous amount of incredible work being done to fight back. often through remarkable collaboration and innovation. Let's shift our focus now to some of these defensive efforts, the innovations that are actually making a real difference.
Yes, this is where we see the ingenuity of the defenders shining through. A perfect example of global collaboration comes from Interpol, their Operations Store Makers the Second. This was a massive coordinated effort. It led to the arrest of 12,209 cybercriminals across 25 countries.
Wow, over 1,200 arrests.
Yeah, the operation specifically focused on various fraud schemes, everything from sophisticated phishing and romance scams to large-scale investment fraud. And the impact was substantial. Authorities seized nearly $200 million in illicit assets. It just clearly demonstrates the immense value of cross-border collaboration in dismantling these large-scale cybercrime networks, which inherently operate across borders. It's really a testament to what unified human effort can achieve against a globally distributed threat.
That's a huge victory for law enforcement. Shows these networks aren't invincible. But beyond law enforcement, what about proactive measures? New technology on the defensive side? Are we building better digital fortresses?
Absolutely. The push for greater transparency in software supply chains, for instance, is gaining critical momentum. CISA, the U.S. cybersecurity agency, released updated draft guidance on using software bills of materials, or SBOMs. They're actively seeking public comments right now. Think of an SBOM as basically an ingredients list for software.
Okay, like on a food package.
Exactly. It provides transparency into all the components, the dependencies that make up a piece of software, including open source libraries. The core purpose is to improve supply chain security. It lets organizations identify potential risks much earlier, like in development or before deployment. This proactive approach significantly reduces the impact of software supply chain attacks. It moves us from just reacting and patching towards a more secure by design philosophy.
So knowing exactly what's inside your digital recipe before you consume it, that makes a lot of sense. A foundational SIP. And speaking of cutting edge, we just talked about attackers leveraging AI. Can we turn those tools against them? How is AI being used for defense now?
We absolutely can, and we are. Microsoft, for example, has been deploying a new AI agent specifically designed to reverse engineer and detect malware. Now, malware analysis is traditionally a painstaking, human-intensive process. It takes hours, sometimes days.
Right, very slow.
Very slow.
Huh?
This AI tool automates much of that arduous process. It significantly speeds up detection times and reduces the immense need for human analysts to do that complex, time-consuming reverse engineering. This development really reflects the growing, critical role of AI in defense of cybersecurity. It allows us to keep pace with increasingly sophisticated threats by using automation and machine learning at a scale we couldn't imagine before. And it frees up the human experts to focus on the really novel, tricky threats.
That's a game changer for speed and efficiency. And in the healthcare sector, which we know is such a vulnerable target, are there specific strategies evolving there to secure patient data more effectively?
Indeed. Experts have proposed a 5-level maturity model specifically for identity intelligence in healthcare. This model goes way beyond basic identity verification, like just checking a password. It emphasizes the crucial need for healthcare organizations to evolve towards more advanced analytics-driven approaches. This could involve things like behavioral biometrics, continuous authentication, applying zero-trust principles to every single access attempt.
Zero trust, okay.
The goal is clear. By improving identity intelligence, healthcare providers can better prevent fraud, secure sensitive patient records more robustly, and ultimately strengthen trust in digital healthcare systems, which is absolutely paramount in such a personal and critical field. What stands out from all these defensive efforts is a powerful message. While the threats are undeniably evolving, so are our defenses. From global arrests disrupting criminal networks to AI detecting malware at amazing speeds and new standards like SBOMs promoting transparency, there's a real concerted, multi-pronged effort. And for you, the listener, this underscores the importance of supporting these initiatives and understanding that cybersecurity isn't just a problem for them to solve. It's a shared responsibility, requires collective action, constant evolution.
As we start to wrap up this deep dive, it's clear that staying informed is absolutely key. But equally critical is verifying that information, isn't it? We live in a world where misinformation can spread just as fast, maybe faster than any new malware variant.
That's a profound point. And we saw a recent real-world example with Europol. They had to publicly deny claims that were circulating on Telegram about a supposed $50,000 bounty for info on the Quillen ransomware group.
That was fake.
Completely fake. Europol confirmed it and issued a warning. They said cybercriminal circles frequently use misinformation maybe to manipulate narratives, sow confusion among rivals, or even mislead law enforcement. The lesson here is invaluable. The importance of rigorously verifying your sources when dealing with any cybercrime-related announcements just cannot be overstated. In the digital fog of war, you really have to trust nothing blindly.
Good advice. And finally, another incredibly sneaky tactic attackers are using involves leveraging trusted platforms, legitimate websites even, to redirect unsuspecting users. They're turning what looks safe into a trap.
This really plays on our inherent trust in the sites we visit every day. Researchers have uncovered widespread abuse of something called the Help Traffic Direction System, or TDS. Here's how it often works. Attackers compromise legitimate websites. Could be a blog you follow, a small business site, by subtly inserting malicious PHP templates.
Hidden code.
Exactly. Hidden code that acts like a secret traffic controller. When you click a link on that seemingly trusted site, instead of taking you where you expect, the TDS subtly and silently redirects you. Maybe to a phishing page, maybe to a site laden with malware. It's incredibly difficult to detect from a user's perspective because the initial website still looks perfectly normal. The compromise is this hidden redirection layer.
Wow.
What's truly fascinating here, and maybe a good takeaway, is how critical thinking and rigorous source verification are proving to be just as vital in fighting cyber threats as any technical defense. Never blindly trust. Always question. And keep your digital guard up, especially when clicking links, even from sources that appear legitimate.
So, considering the rapid advancement of AI for both attack and defense, and the increasing sophistication we see from nation-state actors, how do you think the balance of power might shift in the next 5 years? And maybe more importantly, what new unseen threats should we perhaps be preparing for that aren't even really on our radar yet?
That's the million-dollar question, isn't it? I guess, thinking about today's discussion.
Oh.
What stands out to you that could shape the next big cybersecurity challenge? Something for us all to ponder.
Thank you for listening. Thank you for tuning in to Heal Security Dispatch Deep Dive. We're grateful for your time and hope you found today's insights valuable. Join us again on Monday for more expert updates and critical cybersecurity news. Remember to like, subscribe for ongoing coverage and analysis, and sign up for a free trial of Heal Security Desktop at healsecurity.com. Until next time, stay safe, stay informed, and keep your digital world secure.